What is up? What's happening, everybody? Man, thank you guys for tuning in to me and old Cuz hanging out. Little power hour for you all. I got my new EXP Realty,
nice.
Pittsburgh, PA.
Nice.
Thank you, Matt Durbin and the one and only DJ, rocking it out.
Yes,
so what's good, man? So it's 75 in Puerto Rico.
It's 75 degrees in Puerto Rico. If anybody's wondering, I'm not there yet, but I'm thinking about it. I can tell you that. 13 days.
It's like going on vacation, man. You're already looking at the weather there, and you're like, all right. Man, before we jumped on, we were talking about how heartbreaking it is to be a Browns fan. But what a game, man! What a game!
That was a great game. One of the best I've seen in a while.
You know what was cool? Just bringing all the talking heads. I know you and I talked a little bit about that last night, but all the talking heads, you know, they were like, okay, Cleveland is for real. They ain't, you know, to be the pushover brownies of past.
Yeah, it's good to hear them get off of their back, you know.
Yeah, big time. So, and man, they're just going to get better. You know, I mean, we saw it at OU with Bake. I mean, he had 3 years with Riley, and just imagine him 3 years with in the system he's in right now. Holy smokes!
Right,
going to be fun. So, cause I want to really dive in and chat about, you know, kind of the mindset this time of the year and mentality. And really, you know, looking into 21 and beyond. I mean, obviously none of us have our crystal balls, but, you know, kind of what we were talking, little market statistics and stuff last night, just some interesting, you know, things that are happening. But, man, you know, we just the conversation around, you know, people getting comfortable and taking their foot off the gas and kind of coasting through the holidays, and why that's probably not a good idea. And, you know, I always default back to kind of what we always talk about as the honey badger mentality, but talk a little bit about that, man. Share from your unique perspective, because I you know, this is what I love about you. And in you know, looking at those at, you know, that are having tremendous success, there's quite a few that have been what Glenn was talking about as coasting. And I remember when you kind of was saying that, you're like, are we doubling down? So kind of talk about that unique perspective and the mindset and where things, you know, really where we want to be heading into the new year.
Yeah, man, and I think, you know, part of I think part of it is you know you have that productive paranoia, right? Like, you know, like somebody's coming to take it all away. Like you know, that's kind of that mindset. And going into the winter months, I mean, hell, I mean, for us, you know, I mean, you know, it was, you know, we had to put it all, you know, we had to put all the effort in, because, you know, it's, you know, when we were, you know, running the big machine, you know, there was, you know, you could survive the winter, or you could not make it through the winter. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got enough acorns. And so, I mean, it was a necessity for us to put in additional effort in, you know, in the months where there's less percentage of sales. So, you know, for me, that pressure is what helped me like get through it. And push, because I know, you know, you're either setting yourself up for, you know, we had some months where, you know, we had Februarys that, you know, were, you know, 17 transactions, you know what I'm saying, when we averaged doing 40 plus, you know. And so, I mean, you got to push. And the thing is that the people that are out there right now that just filled out a lead form on your website, that's not a tire kicker. That's a higher quality lead. And so, you know, you just can't shut it down for the holidays. Like, this is, you know, the people that are out there looking now are a lot more serious because of the time of year. And so, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, you can't take a month off, you know, of the year. It's just not if you want to get to the next level. You don't.
Right. So, man, it's been interesting, with the kind of the seasonal shift. Obviously, got pushed a little bit as we were talking about. The peak. Usually, we always see May, June timeframe. We saw July, August might have been the seasonal peak. So, a lot of folks. There's we've had some of our clients that have had the best years ever.
Yeah.
This year. And it's doubling down during that time, right? When there was like some markets like Michigan was on 60-day pause, right? I think that's kind of the language. And hey, we're on pause, or whatever the hell that is. But
right,
those that didn't pause, that kept their foot on the gas. Talk to me a little bit about what is so key for folks out there that may be struggling a little bit, that are in a really good financial position to keep taking them above and beyond, right? We've talked about this before with Daniel Pink and Drive. And, once your financial needs are met, what takes you to that next level? Man, share some of that perspective and from your viewpoint, what agents need to be thinking about, what people need to be thinking about if we're in a really good financial position. What is it that we need to keep our mind on?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I think, the reality is, like, if you really are truthful, like, you're not in a good financial position. You know what I'm saying? Like, you may feel like maybe you have 6 months of core capital set aside, and operationally things are great. You know what I'm saying? But like, that's just still survival mode. You're not in building wealth mode. So, until you get to that stage, you have to keep pushing. You've got to have, it's such an interesting business because it's so hard to get ahead and get to a point where, even if you have investment properties and all these other things, like, to get to financially free is really difficult to do in real estate. And so even if things look good, you got to always know that it doesn't take but 2007 take it all back, and you got to start over. And whenever we had never had a down year, so like all the way up through 2006, we grew every year. I mean, in many years we just doubled and doubled and doubled. It was incredible, and there was this false sense of we were invincible, and then we got our nuts handed to us in 07 and 08. And we had to shift. We had to learn short sales. We had to deal with REOs. But everything I had was in real estate. Everything was in, we had flips. We had rentals. A coaching company, like, everything was real estate related, and everything took a hit. And so, like, until you've gotten down to the point where you've canceled your $7.99 Netflix, you ain't financially there. And you gotta work your ass off, knowing that one shift in the market could be all it takes to start you back over at zero. And that's what happened. It started us back at behind zero. Like, it was this close to not being able to handle it. Like, not being able to, I had to file bankruptcy or do something like this close, like that close. I mean, $7.99 on your credit card, when that's too much and you got to cancel that, you got a problem. And there was not a whole lot we could have done except for been more prepared that it could happen. Right. And so I think, you have to have that productive paranoia that you're never there. You've never arrived. You better not be comfortable, because somebody's coming right behind you right now to take it all away from you. And, I think that's kind of the mentality we had. And we certainly developed that because that's what the reality was. We experienced getting knocked down at the knees and having to go backwards. It took us till 2010 or 11, I believe, to pay off all the debts that were accumulated from that
time frame.
Right. And so
100%.
Like, hell no, I don't ever want to go backwards again. I want to be prepared. And so whatever you think you need set aside, quadruple that. You want to be cash rich if there's another shift in the marketplace. And I'm not saying that that's coming. I think there's going to be some change next year, and probably more so even the next year. But you can't, you don't have enough. You aren't financially set. And if you think you are, you're mistaken. and you're gonna learn a painful lesson just like we did, and then it can take you years to recover from that. And so just being I think it's just that that paranoia, productive paranoia as they call it. I think Steve Jobs, in the book about Steve Jobs, he talks about that, like just that you gotta continuously grow, continuously get better, continuously put in the effort. You can't let your foot off the gas, because something's going to come and take it all away from you if you do. And that's just kind of the mindset you have to get into. And until you've experienced like that major setback, I mean,
yeah,
I'm always going to be paranoid.
Right.
I can't do it, man. I mean, look behind my shoulder. What's coming? 2x4, watch out.
Ducking and dodging, bobbing and weaving all the time.
The part is when you don't know, when you haven't taken the time to have an awareness of what could happen, right? And a lot of agents experience that, with not taking control of their own lead generation, for instance, right? Like, you're getting deals from the broker and they're feeding them to you, and then all of a sudden they stop. Or all of a sudden, Coldwell Banker doesn't have the deal with Cardis anymore, and that was 90% of your business. Now, what are you going to do? Oh my gosh, time to get a job, because you didn't see that job for coming, right?
Man, I love that. And before I kind of switch over to the kind of talking a little bit about the honey badger mentality in adopting that mindset, man, I shared this story I think with you and Al before, and it's man, got turned on to Nipsey when Gary Vee had him on his Monday to Monday Spotify playlist, and I was like, man, who is this dude, right? And I started diving in and really listening to a lot of his music and really him. And then when he was killed, going down the YouTube rabbit holes, all the conspiracy theories and all the things, and one of the ones that I kind of like, oh shit, that makes sense. And I'm not saying that this is true or not, but this like really helped me, get my head around, some of the things was, and it was a former gang member really was saying, the number one thing that he should have done is that he should have got out of the environment that he was in, because he had the opportunity, but yet part of who he was, he stayed there. But he said what the problem is that he stayed in the jungle. And by staying in the jungle, you can never be comfortable. And he said what he was saying is that he got comfortable in the jungle. And that was what got him. And I was like, holy smokes, right? Like that makes sense. And so like in business, in this environment, man, we're all still in the jungle, and you cannot afford to get comfortable. And I think that ties back into the productive paranoia, whatever that is. So so that's why, I've got right here, walking out of the office, I've got like a vision board, but I've got a couple pictures of Nipsey up there, and it's a reminder for me, right? I have that visualization now. When I see him, I think, don't get comfortable, right? You're in the jungle. You can't afford to get comfortable. And so whatever those reminders are for you, that's the power of the vision boards. And this is the time of the year, I had a great call with Mary Peacock this morning. So their team, they're doing goal setting and vision board. I was like, hell yeah, that's like, get that done, right? Because there's so much power in that to let that reticular activator fire and like, will start to, always be a constant reminder. But the honey badger mentality, and I, it's, we kind of adopted it, right, from that cool little character, that he just don't care. Like whatever obstacle, whatever challenge, whatever is in his way, he does not care. He finds a solution. He overcomes it. And, I can't stress enough. I mean, if you're looking for something to kind of grasp onto, man, run with that type of thinking, that type of mentality. It's awesome. It really is. So, hey, I appreciate some of you guys throwing comments. We're not able to, StreamYard's little awkward this morning. It's showing like nobody's watching and there's no comments yet. I've got it pulled up over in one of the groups, and there's a lot of people on and there's comments. So, just throw some comments. If you guys have questions, need anything, throw it in there. If we don't see it, we'll definitely circle back around and answer for you guys. Man, I think mindset, protecting that at all cost is key, and some things to be thinking about heading into the next year. Because can we share a little bit about I actually have What's Good, Nick Good on Expert Mentors Live tomorrow.
Nice.
And man, I'm having him on. I was inspired by his his podcast episode with Armando Montelago last week on December the 9th. And man, it was just a great conversation. Nick did a really, really good job. So I hit him up. I was like, hey man, I've got an opening, Expert Mentors. Are you free? I want you on. I want you to talk about that conversation. And so I don't want to, share all what Nick's going to share tomorrow on that episode, but definitely was talking about some things to come. One of the things that I want to highlight, and then this other statistic, and I didn't fact check this. So, but one of them was really talking about shadow inventory, and was talking about, there's about 9 months of shadow inventory. And so, what does that mean? Now, we were having this conversation last night. What is the percentage of licensed real estate agents that have been in the business to ride through 05, 06, 07, 08, 09, into 10? I don't know what that number is, but is it half?
Yeah, probably.
So let's just say half of the licensed agents. And if you guys know that statistic,
I bet it's an even crazier number than that. I don't know what the turnover rate is of agents annually, but I want to say somewhere between 20%, around 20% maybe. So if that's the case, it's probably it might be something crazy like a couple 100,000 agents that were in the business since 2006, let's say. You know what I mean? Like it could be definitely something that low as a percentage. So
what we're talking about, people cannot get their heads around. They don't understand, what that was like. Now
you can't explain it. You have to experience it. I mean, my dad tried to tell me some things too. And I was like, I remember when you told me all that shit that I didn't understand. I get it now.
Yeah.
You can't imagine. And to be fair, there's nobody predicting an 07, 08 collapse.
No.
Anything.
No, not at all. And nothing even like that on the conversation that they were having. But he said there's about 9 months of shadow inventory compared to 08. There were 2 years of shadow inventory. So think about that for a second. And so that was key. The other thing, and we'll dive in deep with Nick tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune into Expert Mentors Live with us tomorrow at noon Central. But was that what I was talking about is that there's more agents than active inventory right now. And that was one of the things that I didn't get to fact check, but think about that. More agents than active inventory.
That's crazy.
I know North Dallas has 1.5 months of inventory. Lawton's low too. I haven't looked at what it was here recently.
That's the saving grace here in this whole thing is, regardless, of the inventory that we should get in the first couple quarters of next year, that will come from the fact that you can't foreclose right now and you can't evict up until the end of the year, and I don't know what's going to happen after that. Who knows what kind of stimulus? Who knows? But that there will be some people that decide to get out of investment real estate, and
sure.
And there's a prediction of a lot of homes coming on the market in Q1, Q2. But there's no mortgage meltdown. We had the lowest rates we've ever had, and that's going to stay. It's going to stay that way. And there's this pent up demand of people that are having a hard time finding any inventory. And so, an influx of inventory isn't going to cause a market crash at all. It's going to get absorbed rather quickly. And that's going to, that might soften the market a little bit, but it's certainly not going to, we may end up having, more sales, 5.5 million, I want to say is what it was, it's been averaging in terms of home sales annually. We might see a jump in the number of home sales next year. because the inventory that does come available is going to be absorbed, and there's other financial impact that that hasn't been really quantified, I think, in terms of all the revenues lost and what the overall impact on that is over time. But with people that have equity in homes like they've never had before, we're not seeing tightening of mortgage on loans, which again, all of those things happened in 07, 08. That
right.
It was impossible to sell, and it was impossible to get a deal done. And so none of that stuff is there. So yeah, should we see more inventory? Yes. Do we want that? Yes. I think that
yes,
we always have a little bit more inventory. So yeah,
yes.
It's interesting. It's interesting. We'll see. I mean, like you mentioned the other day, the predictions around what the end of year might look like in terms of appreciation. We've seen various predictions there that we're not likely to see a huge appreciation here, maybe an even, or maybe even down a little bit. But none of that bothers me. And in fact,
right.
it makes me excited to be a little bit prepared for what may come.
Right. 100%. And that's all we're wanting to share, just to help you guys be a little more prepared as you're being strategic and intentional heading into 21. What's up, Sean? So Sean was sharing NAR 85% fail in the first 5 years.
Crazy.
So think about that, right? So your projection, just a couple 100,000 that got to ride through that time, is probably pretty damn accurate.
Right.
So that's crazy. Oh man. So what are some of the things in your mind that people really need to be thinking about heading into the new year, that looking at from an opportunity and even understanding, around their strengths? What are some thoughts as you're talking? I mean, because you talk to a ton of agents every dang day. Like, right. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? Where should people be, looking at for the opportunity?
Man, I think if I was to strategically, knowing what we know going into next year, I would be going after absentee owners, and rental property owners across the board, because a couple of reasons. Number one, they got a bunch of equity if they've had it very long, and number two, they may or may not have experienced someone not paying the rent, and and the opportunity to unload that is probably something that's what we're expecting a lot of the inventory to come from. So to me, if I was going to strategically invest in something, it would be going after absentee owners. That's what I would do. I think that's a huge opportunity to go after a segment of the market that's likely to be more likely to do something than ever before. And so,
yeah, I like that. Even thoughts on, folks, that move up market as well. Mm-hmm. could be something. Also, seeing some really good success with new construction.
Man, you know what though? This is interesting, right? So like, I don't have a lot of conversation with buyers and sellers, but I had a couple people that I've talked to that are moving, and the two people, they were both referrals, and both of them are moving to Texas. One of them is moving to Texas because their job now, they don't have to go into an office. They're literally gone completely virtual. And so now he can work from anywhere. So it unlocked the ability for them to move anywhere they want in the country. And they're moving to this area because they've got family not too far from here or whatever, but they chose to move here. And so like, that's really kind of one of the more interesting dynamics of how COVID has affected people's lives and the ability to move to different places, either same market or otherwise. And I don't know what the impact is on that in terms of, the outskirts and being able to get more house for your money the further out you go, because you don't have to drive into the big city to go to work. But there's some interesting dynamics I'm sure we're going to see in markets, even especially like Dallas here, when, with, what happens to your real estate in those, that's close to downtown and to the main work areas and that kind of stuff versus people being able to move and move further out.
100%. Did you ever go through and finish Faster? The World is Faster Than You Think with Peter Diamandis?
I sure did.
So keep in mind, This book came out at the beginning of this year. The Future is Faster Than You Think by Peter Diamandis and Stephen Coulter. And it's the trilogy to Abundance and God, what was the other one that they did? But anyways, this is The Future is Faster Than You Think.
Bold.
They talk about this exact thing. They're saying with the advancement of technology that, and they're talking, flying cars and the hyperloops and all that other stuff that's coming, but they were talking people are going to move further and further away. But they were saying because their commutes could be faster. Now with the power of this, like people can live anywhere on the damn planet they want to live.
Right.
So it's amazing. So that they were kind of teeing it up. Those that work in the rural areas, there's probably opportunity coming your way that you weren't even thinking about. So,
right.
And maybe that is the thought, right? Maybe that is like, okay, who would want to move to this area and change up your marketing, your message in front of those people. So, man, that's interesting. Cause what would you say, absentee and rental owners, where would we find that list?
How did we get that list before? So I'm sure there's a resource for it.
Yeah. Brad Robbins just said Remind.
Yep, that's it. That's a way cool tool. Absolutely. That's hooked up through the MLSs. Yeah, you could probably Google it and find it. There's probably a ton of tools that do it that'll do it for you, but Remind is one that we know of that's good. I'd hit those people with the cash offer. That's what I would hit them with.
Cash offer?
Yep, 100%.
Got it.
I love that. Yeah.
Love it. What is good? Thanks, Brad. Good to see you, buddy. Good questions. Mr. Broderick, what's happening? You guys have any questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, anything that Jay and I can kind of maybe give a little clarity on? Bouncing between the groups here. We're live in a couple groups with this, but here in StreamYard. So the old Facebookers putting the block on StreamYard tool. Can't see what's going on in here.
All right.
Oh man. I was listening to I've been listening to a lot of Dan Sullivan stuff and one of the things that one of his little key phrases is that procrastination is a good thing. And what he's talking about is that procrastination gives you what did he put it? Wisdom. And he said, if you have the awareness of what you're procrastinating on is usually probably what you need to hire out to have somebody do. And he just gives it some really good examples on just different things there. And I was just, it's just the whole perspective, right? How you look at it, how you look at anything. And it was just really fascinating what, so if you start thinking back, you're like, okay, I do procrastinate on that, right? Like, could somebody else do that? Damn sure they could do that. So I don't know,
that's a good thought. I like that.
And so, you look at as you continue to grow and expand, identifying those next key hires, right? Coming out of strategy. Hey, what's the next 18 months? What's that bench? Who are we cultivating? Who are we developing? And, really looking at where you've got to identify, the next who that's in your organization that's going to help you, grow and achieve what it is that you want to achieve in 21 and beyond. Keeping that foot on the gas.
Yep.
Aaron Foster, no way. Boomer, sooner. I'm a little bummed it's an early game, but hey, we'll take it. We're playing for the Big 12 championship. That's all that matters. So Rich was talked with you, Jay, about relocating to a new state, leaving Illinois for Arizona. So he got your perspective. What would my plan of attack be heading into a new market? I would try to get up any and all different, lead gen pieces I could get going. New construction, your cash offer, anything like that. But also, I would want to start trying to become a student of the market a little bit as well. So our go-to has always been, real market reports or something, setting something up to where I can start paying attention and knowing what's going on in the market. What feedback did you give Rich on, the relocation strategy?
I'm trying to remember. I have too many conversations.
I'm sure it was good.
I honestly don't remember the details of what we discussed. It'll come back to me.
Yeah, I would say there. I would say, making sure you're aligning. If you can create some strategic relationships in that market. He said too many Moscow mules.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, it's going to be some lead gen strategies. I know, right now we've got we're doing this with a client right now, staying in the same state, but moving to a different location. And right now, our first strategy, we went new construction, and what he picked up immediately, we were seeing cost per lead at about $4.30 per lead. And he was on a $20 a day budget, and he's been running it now for a month, and he's been picking up 2 clients a week with it. And so the market that he's moving into, at the median average, I think the average he said was about 750. And out of all the people he's picked up, so he's a month in, 2, 4, 6, 8. I think only 1 or 2 actually want new construction, but the other, I mean, there's no inventory, so they're looking everywhere they can. And that's what he was, being able to pick up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it all comes down to the goal, right? What's the goal? And if it's immediately getting into, some cash flow, that's definitely the fastest, easiest way to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And, if that is the goal, I heard the phrase, it's either sweat equity or it's check equity. And, you're either going to get in, you're going to sweat it, you're going to make the dials, you're going to hustle, or you're going to go that route. Mr. Gibson, I would say, cause what's your thought on this? Ad saturation in Facebook and pay-per-click, telemarketing restrictions. What would be the next best way to lead gen?
I'm assuming we're talking about, for sellers, and it would be direct mail. I think it's direct mail works. It just does. And there's not very many people that do it. So, I think that would be where I would put my money.
I like that. I could definitely get on board with that. What do you think? We talk oil wells all the time. Do you think, really, like, what should somebody be striving to in their business from a number of oil wells to really get pumping? What would you say, man? Hey, if you can get to 4 oil wells as fast as you can, that's what you need to do. Like, what would you, because of the diving board mentality, like, what would you say? Hey, this would be really a goal that we would want to get to as fast as we could.
Yeah, so this is a tough one, right? So the debate that would ensue in this question would be, do we build an oil well to get 2 deals a month and then drill deeper to go to 4 deals a month from that one oil well? So, like, using FSBO's an expired as the example, you're making those calls, you add direct mail, to that, it gets a lift, right? And so you don't have to start with direct mail. You just start with making the calls, and that could result in maybe 2 a month. You add direct mail over, like the 13-week postcard program that we had, like, you add that to that same oil well, and maybe it results in, after 60 days, it results in 4 deals a month, right? So I would almost say, before you focus on how many oil wells you want, let's make sure you optimize each one before you move on to the next one. And optimization of the oil well could be double. You could double the capacity of each oil well as opposed to trying to think about how many oil wells that you're going to create, right? So, because there's a lot of testing and tracking and iteration and things that should be happening on everything, that any oil well that you have, anything that's producing success. What is that? Is that? Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Appreciate you. So, how many do I ultimately want? How many revenue pillars do I want in my business? I think you want to have probably at least 5 different things. Maybe it would be 20%, where if anything wasn't working, it would only represent 20% of your revenue. I think that's a safe number. But it really is, I think it really kind of boils down to like, what can you manage, right? Like,
yeah,
because it's not having 5 that you're not paying attention to this and you're not really paying attention to that over there and you're spending money in all these areas or whatever. I think you want to find something that works and drill that oil well deeper before you decide to add a new one. And then look at, okay, if I'm getting, 4 from this one and 4 from this one, you start thinking about leverage and getting things off your plate and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think, I think a good 4 to 5 solid pillars that can generate, 3 to 5 transactions a month consistently is what you would want to be aiming for.
Right. 100%. I don't, I like the direct mail piece. I really do. And, like you said, most people are at home these days. And,
right.
I don't know the plan of attack on this, but I heard a statistic the other day. Holly was going through this training deal, but they said that, more people are watching TV now than ever, and they're watching this, right? So, from an ad perspective and where are the opportunities out there from getting in front of those eyeballs, if that is true, right? And they said that there's more people watching YouTube there than ever. So it's just, where's the attention? Where's the eyeballs? The other that I see all the time, and, I wouldn't make this number one, but agents that have been in the business 3, 4, 5 plus years, man, the number one underutilized thing that they're doing is they're not squeezing all the juice out of their database, out of the people that know them, like them, love them, trust them. They usually, because that hustle mentality in the beginning and just scraping for new.
Yep.
I would say if you've been in for a little while, that neglected database, it's not going to be the consistent and the predictability. Give you an example. So Kyle and Dan up in Rochester, we know, just because we've paid attention to it for the last 5 years, is that their database isn't going to feed them during the winter.
Right.
Because nobody that lives there that knows them, likes them, loves them, trusts them is going to refer anybody to do anything during the damn winter, right?
Right.
But now what happens when it gets warm? It comes in abundance. So what we've seen with the data, so they know that, so they know how to cultivate and communicate to their database, and they know when that database is going to produce.
Right.
And so that changes their strategy throughout the year because of a seasonality. And so, but that's from testing and measuring and paying attention. And so I thought that was really, really good.
That is great.
Definitely on that was sellers. So direct mail. So Brad, what's the expected ratios on direct mail? Let's say warm audience with regards to being very targeted, that they can use your products and service, but they don't know who you are. Is the callback somewhere between 0.5 to 1% or higher? In a 1,500 to 2,000 target size. Do you remember the statistics on that?
Yeah, I mean that's those numbers are pretty close to that. They're pretty close. I mean the goal is it's all about reach and frequency. So it's about how many times they see your message over a shorter period of time. And so I would opt to mail to that group of people every week for at least 12 weeks, because statistically the numbers that I've seen, and there's not a real good study to like fall back on, but from what I've researched, a little research I've done is that, it takes someone 20 to see your message 21 times before they think of you when they think of that, whatever it is that service is. And so, and through social media, the number I've been hearing was, almost 30 times. And so
it's higher. Yeah.
And so that's the name of the game is professionally relevant, personally relevant, and when I say personally relevant, I'm not saying, not so much that it's personalized to them as is that it's personally relevant to their neighborhood, or, that it's relevant to them, consistent mailers, testimonials, proof, value proposition, all of that mixed in, and the consistency of that over a shorter period of time, you'll start to get a greater bang for your buck. You're probably not going to get a 0.5% or even 1% response rate, in the first month of doing it. Right. It's like Dan Kennedy says, the number one reason that people, fail at marketing or stop doing it is because they have an unrealistic expectation of what that actual return should be over whatever period of time it is. And so, the sooner, the faster you can get the impressions, over that group of people, the sooner they will think of you first. And that's the key, is they need to think of you first. You're like, hey man, what's that guy that's been sending me those, all these mailers? And that's, and we've seen it, and it's in every marketing vehicle. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. If it's radio, it's the same thing, same principle. What's the audience size? How many times did they hear you over what period of time? And it doesn't start working until you get to enough impressions that they think of you in the number one or number two, when it comes to selling, their house. And that's when it starts to create inbound.
Yeah. And it's the whole force multiplier, right? It starts to get lifts the more you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, direct mail, we also need to be hitting phone calls, right? We need to, whatever we can do to get a sign in the yard, and, just, door hangers. I mean, just like, what are all the things, what are all the ways that we can, penetrate into a marketplace with the most amount of impressions, like you said, with that frequency. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. Man, good stuff. I'm excited. I think they're, just seeing those, some of the statistics and things out there and the forecasting. I just think there's going to be a lot of opportunity into 21 and beyond.
Yeah. Tons of opportunity.
For sure. Cool, man. Well, cuz I appreciate you. I know this is a extremely busy time as Puerto Rico is on the horizon. And so definitely appreciate you jumping in and bringing the value as always. And thank you to you guys all tuning in. And if you have any questions or any need help, stuck anywhere, man, feel free to reach out. That's what we're here for. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. We'll see you.
Peace.